Do you feel like you do nothing? And even worse, you do nothing about it? You've got a dream, a goal, or a purpose, but every day feels like a step backwards? Feels horrible, doesn't it? When I was a kid, I craved creating things. I never stopped making. All of it was ugly, but I loved it. I was proud of it. I've even kept a lot of what I've made. Then around 15, it just stopped. Like someone shut off the faucet. The energy was just gone. I didn't know why. There was no inner dialogue. It was just shame. I sank into a long depression. I hated myself for not feeling the spark anymore, and worse, I convinced myself it was because I was lazy. The kind of lazy that makes you skip not just your chores, but your own dreams. I avoided starting anything new because I hated how far my first steps would fall from my vision. Everybody that told me, I wish I was as creative as you, cut deep because I knew the truth. I wasn't creating at all. It's been a decade, 10 years of calling myself a fraud. But here's the irony. I have a ridiculous work ethic. So why did I shut down when it came to my own goals? Because I, like you, was measuring laziness wrong. We think laziness means you don't care enough or you lack discipline. But laziness isn't about your character, it's math. Laziness happens when the effort to achieve something feels bigger than the value you place on the outcome. That's why you'll grab a drink from the fridge. The payoff outweighs the 15-second walk, but if I told you the only way to get it was to climb 3 mountains, leap a ravine, and pull out a hangnail, you wouldn't bother. You wouldn't call yourself lazy for skipping that, you'd call it common sense. This is why so many of us never start our biggest dreams. The process looks like 3 mountains. Imagine a scale with a marble in the middle. The goal is on one side, the process is on the other. If the process side is too heavy, the marble rolls towards it and never reaches the goal. This we call lazy. If the goal side is too heavy, the marble shoots towards it and tips everything over because you didn't build the foundation to handle it. We have a difficulty understanding what a perfect balance looks like, and culture makes it worse. We live in a highlight reel world where everybody wants to show you how far apart they are from you. We don't just value success, we worship it. Money, fame, status, all dressed up as proof of worth. Failure isn't just frowned upon, it's erased from the narratives. So when you picture starting your dream, you're not picturing the real process, you're picturing the polished final product. That gap between where you are and what you imagine feels impossible, and impossible things just don't get started. The most successful people in the world are, by your definition though, lazy. They do less themselves as they grow. They outsource, they delegate, and in some ways skip the grind altogether. The same grind they tell you to embrace. Think of your favorite movie. If the ending was all that mattered, you should be able to just watch the last 5 minutes and get the same satisfaction. But you can't, because the journey is what makes the ending worth it. Every masterpiece starts messy. Storyboards are rough. First drafts are bad. Early cuts look broken. Outsiders see laziness. Insiders see necessary steps. Now understand, there's no absolutes for anything. People that tell you there is one catch-all be-all answer for anything, they're lying and probably trying to sell you something. With all good things, there's a balance. If you have too much laziness, nothing gets done. If you have zero laziness, you overreach, burn out, and miss the target completely. The sweet spot is a 1-to-1 balance between valuing the process and valuing the result. Picture aiming with iron sights. The sight closest to the target is your goal. If you focus on only the goal, you'll always overshoot your target and you'll never reach it. The rear sight is the process. Focus only on the process and you fall short every time because you lack direction. Line them both up, account for distance, and bullseye. The best athletes in the world understand this. Breaking a world record isn't just about wanting it more, it's about knowing exactly what it takes to get there and performing when the moment is right. If they overvalue the results, their emotions outrun their body and they choke. If they overvalue the process, they train hard but never push themselves to win. World records only happen when process and results are perfectly aligned. So how do we learn to line up the sights or to keep everything in balance? First, understand the process and understand the goal. Learn everything you need to know about what it would take to achieve your goal, and you don't understand how much you could learn about your goals with a couple hours of research. You have the world at your fingertips, and yet we are so overwhelmed by it, we don't know how to use it. You can't bake a perfect cake without the right ingredients. You can't drive a fast car with an engine that doesn't work. And you can't create something extraordinary without first making something ordinary. The people who win love their trash versions. The successful cherish what culture tries to shame. What the world calls failure is really just progress in disguise. Professionals are just beginners that never gave up. This channel has been 7 years in the making, and this is my first video. I've had an obsession for these past 7 years to create the greatest source of inspiration for the world. A place where everyone would feel a hope for themselves and discover more reasons to live. This video was made lazily, yet it's a culmination of thousands of hours of research, interviews, trial and error, making graphics, building ideas, and more. But none of it matters without this video. One lazy step. I didn't even leave my bed. I spent so much money and time and research on building my equipment, doing all these things, but it doesn't matter until I do something about it. The only other things on my channel, helping create the Doritos Super Bowl ad that pulled 7 billion impressions and won my friends $1 million, and competing on the biggest game show in history with hundreds of millions watching. I, of all people, know what world-class creation looks like, and only I know how badly I want it. I tell myself I can inspire more people if it's exactly how I picture it, how I film it, but I always know I'll never get there without starting small, starting lazy. You wouldn't call someone walking in a marathon lazy. They're just still heading towards the finish line and you're standing on the side. You can't parachute on Mount Everest, you have to climb it, one brutal step at a time. So start small, start messy, start scared. I'm freaking out. This video is my first step and it's a testament that you can take yours. Do it scared, do it lazy, but whatever you do, don't give up. Because the first step is always the first step to greatness. Subscribe.